you said that you have conclusive evidence that Iran has highly confidential documents, that their possession of these documents undermines effective application of safeguards. Obviously, Iran has called that slanderous. They demand a retraction on your part. Are you going to retract that part of the report? And what is the effect on safeguards that you are reporting? How is this acquisition of documents hindering your investigation?
Thank you, Jonathan. An important point, and the ambassador of Iran referred to that, and they have made very strong statements and accusations on that regard. I would say this is based on a technical aspect, on a matter of procedure. Normally, when we put things in a report of not only of Iran, of any member state, we have a dialogue, a conversation about it, because it is, in most of the cases, it refers to something we have found or an opinion we have on something. So the idea is that, in all fairness, because these procedures, the report making is based on a certain procedure, you give a chance to the country in question to put questions or to. This case is different. Here it is a fact. We don't have something that needs interpretation. Here, unfortunately, and this dates to a few years ago, I would say, where, unfortunately, we could determine with all clarity that documents that belong to the agency were in the hands of Iranian authorities, which is bad. And this is part of our assessment on the cooperation. So, the board requested me to provide a comprehensive review on many things, including how they have cooperated. We believe that an action like this is not compatible with the spirit of cooperation.
And can you just confirm, you're referring to the Israeli documents that were given to you that the Iranians then retook into their possession?
We received documents from member states, and also we had our own assessments on documents, on equipment, etc.
I mean, you also said in an opening statement that the 400 kilograms of 60% uranium enrichment is something that the IAEA cannot ignore. Mm-hmm. For the general public, especially in Japan, I mean, is that, some say it's almost as equivalent to 9 atomic bomb. Uh-huh. Can you, in a more simple term, express your concern and the importance of this number to the public, please?
Yes, the concern is that I think we need to be very clear, precisely in order to give the general public an idea that neither exaggerates nor diminishes the meaning of this. And I say it because it is true that enriching uranium per se is not a forbidden activity, which is something my Iranian counterparts always tell me, and they tell the world. So that is true. At the same time, when you accumulate and continue to accumulate, and you are the only country in the world that is doing something like this at a level which is very, very close to the level that you need to have a nuclear explosive device, then we cannot ignore it. It is not per se a forbidden activity, but we cannot ignore, and this is why we are looking at it in a very, I would say, focalized way. One important clarification is that this material is not equivalent to nuclear weapons. It's the amount of material that you would need to have it. But of course, to have a thing that goes boom, you need other things. It's a very sophisticated system that requires detonators, requires a number of internal aspects and material and systems that go beyond the materials. But it is obvious that this inventory, this stockpile, is something that, as we say in the report, cannot be ignored, must be looked at.
I have a question regarding the ongoing threats from Israel on threatening to attack Iranian nuclear sites. How is the IAEA going to respond to that? And my second question is if you have a comment on the recent announcement from Iran that they are in possession of intelligence on Israel's nuclear program.
Well, of course, I am aware of the concerns in Israel. This is not new. Regarding the statements from the government or references to possible military action, of course, it is a matter for the Israeli government. What we are trying to do is to address this issue as befits an international organization from a different perspective. We are trying to get to a solution of this in a diplomatic way, trying to clarify and to solve this and not this tie without the use of violence or force, which we believe, if it's done correctly, which is, of course, very important, if it's done correctly, thoroughly, with a very strong verification and monitoring chapter from us, would give the necessary assurance for Israel and for the world that there is nothing to be feared coming from there. And on this issue, yes, we've seen the issue of the documents. You said we've seen some reports on the press. We haven't had any official communication about this. In any case, this seems to refer to SOREC, which is a research facility which we inspect, by the way. Normally people tell me you don't inspect Israel. Yeah, we do. We don't inspect other strategic parts of the program, but this part of the program we do inspect is a research reactor and a research facility.
The report talks about two key concerns, the 400 kilogram of enriched uranium and the traces of man-made uranium that were found in Lavisan, Shian, Varamin, and Turkazabad. My question is, to put things into perspective for people, how are you going to move forward until the JCPOA expires? Are we going to give a chance to diplomacy for the Iranians to discuss exactly the need to put a brake on these programs and allow you access to different areas inside Iran? Or there is an urgency to move towards triggering this snapback mechanism?
Well, I think everything is interconnected. One of the first questions was addressing that. How do you see this interrelation? We do not wait in our work to see what happens with the bilateral negotiation. We support the bilateral negotiation. We try to help them in any possible way when they ask us to do so. But our process continues. At the same time, we are aware of the fact that the approach, the attitude, the disposition of Iran with regards or vis-à-vis the IAEA or the work with us is, if not dependent, very, very much influenced by what they see on the other process. If they feel, to put it in even more simple terms, if they see progress there, I guess concomitantly they are going to be more cooperative and more active in our process. If things are more complicated, they might not. But I don't want to get into a speculation on what they might do. I simply limit myself to say what is happening now. There is a mutual interrelationship. This mutual interrelationship can have moments of more, I would say, progress, more forward-looking, or can have moments where things tend to crystallize themselves a little bit, like in any negotiation, I would say.
Question about the Ukraine nuclear safety.
Yes.
Do you believe the nuclear safety risks in Ukraine are escalating, stabilizing, or decreasing at this stage of the conflict?
Well, it depends. Thank you for the question. It depends what we are looking at. If we are referring to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, as I say, quite often. The situation continues to be very fragile, and if anything, for anybody following the conflict, we know that the level of military activity is increasing, not decreasing. And if you have followed our updates, you may have seen that we had to report on further incursions of drones, including in areas inside or very close to the reactors, the training center and other places. So when it comes to the site over there, we continue to believe that the situation is quite fragile. Then you have the rest of the nuclear power infrastructure in Ukraine, where, again, the erosion of the infrastructure in the country continues to have an impact on nuclear safety. You may remember our work on the substations, on the electric and the grid and the substations, because they are the ones feeding the NPPs and facilitating the cooling function. So the situation continues to be a serious one.